Welcome to another edition of the Quip Corner's Book Corner. Today I'll have the privilege of speaking with two educators about their book on education. Go figure. I'm looking forward to a good time with them. Join me in the Quip Corner and have fun with me too. See you in a bit. Wow. I've been looking forward to this. Thank you for both being here. This should be interesting.
My sister is a performance arts teacher.
Oh, okay.
So
behind the scenes, I'm a little camera shy, but you would never know that.
She's been at it longer than we have.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And it taught me a lot. A lot.
That's
and
beautiful.
Anna, I was just telling Anna that I was just watching the Mother's Day Quip Corner that you and Anna recorded and enjoyed it very much. I was very familiar with that book, Experience, Poems, and Pictures.
Yes.
Lovely.
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay, so I'm ready when you both are.
Thank you. Well, we've said thank you a number of times, and we'll say officially thank you for inviting the two of us on today to talk about the book that we have worked on together. Claudia will tell you that we met about 6, maybe 7 years ago as part of the National Council of Teachers of English Retired Teachers Group. At that time, it was called the Emeritus Assembly. And Claudia, tell her how we got together and how we knew we were sisters from the beginning.
Well, I remember that at one point I got an email where the Emeritus Division was being revived, if I'm not mistaken. It had been dormant for a while, and Anna was gathering names of retired members, and my name was on the list, and I thought that would be a nice thing to do because I had a passion for helping former teachers that I worked with, early career teachers in particular. My last 3 years in the Buffalo Public Schools, I worked with a program called the Mentor Teacher Internship Program, supporting early career educators with less than 3 years of experience, but also some veterans who had changed from teaching secondary English to middle school or the opposite. So we corresponded for a while. We found we had this shared passion for supporting early career teachers. Somehow that evolved into offering a session at the National Council of Teachers of English conference, probably 4 years, maybe 5, a session called Nuts and Bolts for New Teachers, where because of Anna's long involvement in NCTE, she had contacts with several past presidents and experts in the field who were willing to give their time, luckily for us, to share their expertise and their experience with the new teachers who were visiting our sessions. So we had those sessions. That evolved into our working on shared projects. I helped Anna proofread some of the books she wrote on teaching middle school English. And that evolved into the book that we are promoting, Planning with Purpose, a handbook for new college teachers. We saw that there was a need, and that's probably where you should take over, Anna, because it was Anna's husband and daughter who suggested this book become a reality.
My daughter had been a technical analyst for international telecommunications companies. She wrote regularly. She presented online and in-person seminars to companies all over the world. And so when she decided that she wanted to write our family story, she began taking non-credit courses through Northwestern University, where she got her MBA. And then she says, you know, Mom, I think I would like to learn how to write creative nonfiction. I'm going to take a year off and go back to school. And she got accepted to Northern Michigan University, and they offered her the opportunity to teach as a graduate teaching assistant. She says, no problem. I've been writing for years. I've been doing seminars for half of that time, not a problem.
I got this
You're
packed down.
laughing, Ada. Why are you laughing? Okay, you know, knowing a topic is not the same thing as teaching it.
Sure.
So I had taught at the same high school when she was in high school. And so she heard from her peers that I was not too bad in the classroom. I knew a few things. And so she began to call me daily for 2 or 3 months. And her father called up from his den and he says, why don't you just write a book?
Spare us these phone calls.
Why don't we write a book? And so I called my other sister, Claudia, and said, Claudia, we've been working together for about 3 or 4 years with early career educators. We have some sense of what those new to the classroom need to know in order to be more effective in the classroom, but also more efficient. Most graduate student teachers are also taking courses towards their master's degree.
Yeah.
So what can we say to them that will make them want to read our book?
Yeah.
And so our terms were effective and efficient.
Yes.
And then Claudia came up with another 5 words that we have begun to use, and she'll tell you about those now.
Yes, well, it had occurred to me that we kept going back to what we now call the 5 M's: methods, materials, management, and mentoring for morale.
Ooh.
And yeah, buzzwords in some ways, but really we can apply those to no matter what the level of teaching is, whether it's elementary, middle, or college. When I was mentoring in the Buffalo schools, I found that even though I was an English teacher mentoring early career English teachers, it was often less about the content and more about how to share that content.
Yes.
And how to be organized. So the methods were the hows, how to share the subject matter. The subject matter and the materials, of course, vary from content area to content area. And management is something every one of us could use, whether it's keeping an organized desk. I had a colleague who had a sign on her desk that said, an organized desk is a sign of a troubled mind. I know. And I, on the other hand, I share an office with my husband, who is a writer-editor. And I often look at his side of the office and then look back at mine and go, don't go there. It's just not worth it. The point being, everyone has different styles, but we can all agree that management of our schedules, our materials, our work benefits all of us. And of course, as teachers, it benefits our students most of all. If we find efficient ways to organize our time, our materials, our content, everything. And then the mentoring and morale aspect of it, everyone, no matter what they do, sometimes needs a sounding board.
Yeah.
It may not even be about what you're doing, but how to balance what you're doing with your personal life, your work and personal life. This is something Anna and I have talked about quite a bit lately, that one of the struggles for veterans and early career teachers as well is balancing your professional and personal life, knowing that it's time to take out time for yourself so that you're much more effective.
Yeah. You know, just listening to both of you talk about this book, and I'm laughing about, the 5 M's, because in the business world, we talk about the materials, the methods, so those, like you said, are buzzwords. But just thinking about being effective and efficient, I'm thinking about parenting. It almost sounds like a book that even parents can use.
Very likely parents could use it as well, because it will help the parents understand what the teachers have to do. And that idea of knowing how to use time, no matter what career we're in, whether we are parenting at home or if parentists in local at school, we all have 168 hours a week.
Yes.
How can we use that time in ways that the money, in this case, graduate teaching assistants, that the money they're investing in their education will go a little further?
Yeah.
And so that's what we pulled together, a series of lessons to help those who knew their content area, how to teach that content area using the class time efficiently. Depending on where the teacher, the professors, the GTAs or whatever, we've learned there are about a dozen names for this role. They have a specific amount of time per week to meet with their students, per semester or course to complete certain course requirements. They're expected to produce.
Yeah.
But how can you do that? You only have a certain amount of time. And
Yeah.
they have homework to assign.
That's true.
How to decide what to assign for homework? What's the purpose of homework? Do I have to do more work than my students do? And so we addressed some of those issues, but we could not have put this book together without the contributions of others. And I doubt, please let us use this time to thank the graduate teaching students and a couple of community college teachers who shared their experiences with us in such a way that it affirmed what we were doing, but it expanded what we were learning because they were telling us what they were encountering in the classroom all over the country. May we do that now?
Oh, yes, please. And I know Ms. Claudia also wanted to say something.
Well, just mentioning parents too, when I was watching the Mother's Day video, one of the things you mentioned is that mothers can not just necessarily be birth mothers or adoptive mothers, but as teachers, we often assume that role. Sometimes we mother our colleagues because they need some guidance that the type of guidance a parent can give. So, you know, we cross those labels and roles in various capacities.
That's true. Yes.
One of the things that we did was we asked other graduate teaching assistants who were on the same cohort as my daughter.
Yeah.
What are the challenges you are facing? How are some of the ways that you address those issues? And will you write about it? And so we asked each one of them to write about between 300 and 500 words, describe where you're teaching, what your challenge was, and how you addressed it. And most importantly, what would you recommend others do if they're in a comparable situation? And among those contributors were Jose Luis Cano, who teaches in Texas.
Okay, we have Shamika Carter from Michigan.
Yeah.
Kelsey Endicott from Maryland.
Yeah.
Jessica Hudson and Mallory Jones, both from Michigan.
Okay.
And finally, last but not least,
Roseboro.
And at the top, my own daughter, Roseboro.
Nice.
So we ask each of these young teachers to tell us about what it was like to be a first-time teacher.
Yeah.
And their input gives a little more timeliness to this because both Claudia and I are retired.
Yeah.
And even though we have been mentoring early career teachers, that's not the same thing as being in the classroom every day.
That's
and
true.
So part of the success of our book has been the fact that these teachers were willing to say, I didn't know, I asked, now I know more, and I'm willing to share with you.
Beautiful. So how can people get copies of this book? Because it sounds like it's packed with, you know how they say, oh, the hot chocolate is too rich. It sounds like a rich book worth getting. So how can people get copies?
Our book was published by a publishing company called Rowman and Littlefield, ROWMAN and Littlefield, exactly the way it sounds. And they are known for publishing books primarily having to do with those who have gotten their PhDs. But in the past 10, 12 years, they've been publishing more, let's say, practical books for classroom application. And so we're really pleased that they chose to publish this book. And one of the things they asked us to do, said, can you get anybody to endorse your work?
Okay.
Bad question. We found 6 current or recently retired educators who offered to write what they thought about our book.
Nice.
And as you know from your own publishing, on the back of the book, the publishers use excerpts from what people have said about the book.
Yeah.
And among those who gave us the endorsement were teachers who do what we do, and Claudia is going to read those names for you now.
Thank you.
Yes, our endorsers included Robert Infantino. Would you like me to add their roles? And I can mention
It
that.
would be fine to say where they're from. Again, we try to get as broad a range of educators across the country, what they teach, where they taught. And as you can imagine, when we sent them the draft of our book, many of them sent back recommendations for expanding the language so that it would be more appealing to those who teach in other content areas. And Dr. Infantino was the head of the education department at the University of San Diego. And he said, you know, this book is for more than English teachers. Why don't you add the fact that it would be help for those who teach science, those who teach technology, engineering, the arts, music, mathematics. And he said, what you're writing will work for them. So put that in your introduction. So we said, yes, sir, we'll do it, sir. Some of the other people who gave us advice for expanding the audience for this, go ahead.
They included Jose Montalongo, who's curator of Latin books at Brown University, Dwayne Rowan, the dean and vice provost at Arizona State University, Nichelle Ninix, associate professor of English at SUNY Buffalo State, Nalova Westbrook, curriculum and instruction at Penn State University, Allison Taylor Fastov, former English department chair and English teacher emeritus, Georgetown Day School, Washington, D.C. And it's quite a diversity of roles. And all of them, as Anna was saying, not only did they give us ideas on how to expand what we'd already written, but since our deadline was moved from end of April because of the pandemic to middle of October, we realized there was a need to address teaching virtually and teaching in online environments.
Yes.
And we consulted with our editors and publisher to see how we could add language without changing the pagination of the book. And it wasn't too difficult. I thought we handled it fairly well in terms of going over chapter by chapter, just places where we could tweak a phrase to add online language to what would normally be an in-person classroom. And I think that's been valuable. We've also set up a companion website that people can visit that we try to keep up to date. Every about 2 weeks, we'll post another blog entry that supports the topics in the book and expands on them.
Oh, thank you for that. So we can also add the link to that website below this video so people can not just get a copy of the book, but also follow, you know, your blog posts.
Yes.
And we've had the challenge of how can we keep the book up to date without making it unnecessary to buy the book. And one of the ways we've been doing that is blogging every 2 weeks, but referring them to the chapter in the book that would help them implement what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And we've stayed in touch with the early career educators who contributed to the book and asked them, what else would you like to have known? And one of the things we've been doing on our blog is making it a repository where early career educators, particularly those who are teaching in college for the first time, to go for resources. Last week, we posted one that said, learn to be okay with quiet. And often, if the students don't respond right away, the new teachers think that they weren't listening.
Yes.
They're thinking, give them time.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to add to the website those kinds of morale boosters. You're okay. You've been hired because you have something up here to get across to those. but you can only do so if you learn to listen to them.
That's true.
And so that's the kind of thing we're trying to do to expand it. And Claudia is excellent at this. Claudia, I'm going to pat you on the back. I can't help. She spends time every week looking for resources that we can use to go with our book and finding graphic images similar to the one she did for the book. Let me get it
Nice.
right angle. She designed this and has all of those hands up there for a reason. Go ahead and tell us about it, Claudia. Why did you come to this hands-on job?
Well, to begin with, a lot of textbooks will have kind of a cold image on the cover that doesn't necessarily connect to what the topic is. And
Yeah.
we like to think that our book gives you hands-on techniques and ideas that you can implement right away.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't a lot of jargon that perhaps won't be as useful as something that's kind of a recipe, or at least the ingredients to create your own recipe.
Yeah.
And so the hands on the cover of this book, there they are. Sorry about the blurring.
You're going to get the right angle. There it is.
They're a word cloud that have the 5 M words in them: methods, materials, management, morale, and mentoring, because all of those things are interconnected.
Yes.
And I think it makes, in many ways, makes our book more relevant.
The other thing is, you see the hands? That means you've got to reach out and accept the help from someone else. But you also have to reach out and share what you're knowing. And so the more I look at this image, the more I realize that it's more than just a graphic image.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor for successful teaching.
Yeah.
You've got to have all 5, but you can't have all 5 by yourself. You can't get them. In fact, you got to give to get.
Yeah.
And so this metaphor, the 5 hands, the 5 M's, have been so inspiring to me during our time of working together on this book.
Nice.
You're doing the same thing for us, Anna. You're sharing what you have so that we can share what we have. And with the 3 of us, can't fail.
Yes. Wow. This is truly a book to get in people's hands. Pun totally intended.
Yeah. And what we will also do, we told our publishers that you had invited us to share our book here, and they have given us permission to offer a discount.
Oh, okay.
To viewers of Anna's Quick Corner.
Nice.
And so we will send that along to you.
Okay.
With the discount code that people who watch your program will be able to utilize when they decide to buy our book.
Nice. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. Yeah, we
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Okay. So we'll share that information and, hopefully get these sales rolling in, and getting the book in more hands, because there's so much to deal with, now with, if I just think about the pandemic, parents are learning to be teachers themselves, so it's almost like the roles being reversed from when teachers are having to be parents as well, or mothers. Here we're having parents learning to teach, and some of them having to do homeschooling or whatever. So this definitely will be a good resource for parents.
I think so.
Can we close with reading 2 paragraphs from page 113 in our book? After we finished pulling together all of the resources, we wanted to have something for our readers to understand that we recognize that you are ready. Would you begin, Claudia? You read the first paragraph and I'll read the second.
You are now a teacher with honor and responsibility, entrusted with the lives and learning of the students assigned to you. At first, the ups and downs on the road may seem an endless trek up a curvaceous mountain trail. But as you focus on growth, not grades, progress, not speed, you can safely traverse the rolling hills and triumphantly reach the journey's end.
Just steer steadily forward, accelerating and slowing down as needs arise. Yes, you may creep and climb up some of the steeper hills, and sometimes you may slow down and bumble across potholes created by inclement weather, technical issues, or natural disasters beyond your control. Rest assured, others have traveled the road before you. You can make it too.
Yes.
And we believe that with our book, Planning with Purpose, connecting with others on their journey, that they too will have the kind of satisfying, not like to say successful career as educators that Claudia and I have had. And you too, Anna. I understand you're an educator too. And so you know what we're talking about.
Most certainly.
Yes. Thank you so much. Woo, that is the great book. Well done. Well done. We'll put the links on how people can get copies, the link to the blog, and also how they can contact you, because some people could say, oh, I'd like to get in touch with Miss Claudia. I'd like to get in touch with Miss Anna. My viewers already have Miss Anna's email address. So.
Well, they'll see how I had time to do as much as you've had let me to talk about, because Claudia has been, I'm saying, by my side, supporting me, advising me, assisting with other publications as well. And so when it was time to do this book, I said, it's time for us to do it together. And she said, okay.
Well, thank you again. Sorry, go on.
No, this is just getting me emotional. I love my sister. I appreciate it. Thank you, Anna. It's been a pleasure working together. We schedule ourselves every Tuesday to meet, discuss our blog updates, other projects, and it's always fun.
I learned something every week. I'm going to be so smart that I won't even be able to come on this show anymore.
I guess so.
There's always room for you here. Always.
Yes, always. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much again for joining me in the Quip Corners Book Corner.
Thank you.
Wow, that was nice talking to Miss Claudia and Miss Anna. I was this close to wearing something blue. Can you imagine how it would have looked? Like we sent out a memo? Well, their book sounds like something that needs to get into the hands of teachers, aspiring teachers, and even parents turned teachers. So gracious of them to have that coupon code as well. Yes, you'll see it here somewhere. That's one of the ways we know you've watched this. Okie dokie. See you in the Quip Corner again. Bye now.